So it closes. Did you get a check or did you get a wire?
I got a check.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to hold the check.
Yeah, right? I love it.
Yeah.
So what was that check? How much was that check made out for?
$28,000.
$28,000. Come on,
Yeah.
Mike, ring this thing. Welcome to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, America's #1 podcast for new real estate investors, where we know that finding discounted properties is the most proven path to financial freedom. I am your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People, and I am telling you this right now. If I can do this business, so can you. So let's get started. In studio today is a fellow Arizona wholesaler from Yuma, Arizona,
Yep.
Mike Reyes. Mike, say hello to the Rhino Tribe.
How you guys doing?
I'm excited for this. You come in on Fridays to our team meetings,
Yep.
maybe once a month, a couple times. I mean, you're 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
But we've been talking for a while. You've been doing this for a while. It took some time to really start building some momentum in your business.
Yep.
And we had a lot of conversations about just stick with it. Just keep going. Just massive imperfect action. Keep talking to people, and it's going to work. And finally, eventually it did.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, it did take a little while, but, it was all worth it. So
What I love is tell everybody what you were doing before you discovered wholesaling.
I was a truck driver for about 8 years. Little bit of working over the road, mostly locally, here, just in Flagstaff too, when I lived up there. Just delivering, running up and down a ramp with a hand truck, busting my ass and, breaking my back. So, that's what
Listen, we have some of the most incredible rhinos in the Rhino Tribe were former and current truck drivers. There's something about being behind the wheel, listening to this podcast, listening to the YouTube channel, and then all of a sudden, you guys decide it's not just listening to the podcast. Let's start actually implementing, because that's the point of this podcast. That's the point of the YouTube channel. That's the point of everything that we put out. That's the point of wholesalinginc.com and all the downloads there. Yes, we want to educate. Yes, we want to inspire, but more, we want to instruct. You know what I mean? Go out there and take action and start having those conversations and making offers with property owners.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So the first 90 days that you were in this business, let's go back. Do you remember what was going on in your mind when you were just getting started?
Yeah, I was scared, man.
What were you scared of?
So, but, I was a truck driver. I was living in Flagstaff. I had a house, nice neighborhood. I loved it out there. But I was just sick and tired of doing what I was doing. I freaking hated it. And, I was listening to your podcast all the time after somebody had told me about wholesaling. And, I had to feel comfortable with being able to do this, but I didn't want to do it without having a little bit of security. So I decided to sell my house. I moved down to Yuma. I quit my job. And I said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. But I was nervous because I was basically betting everything.
I didn't know this, Mike.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah. So I was betting everything on, on being able to do this and kind of just prove it to myself that I could. So.
Have you ever started any other businesses?
I did multi-level marketing with insurance a while back.
Sure.
I was never really good at selling. I was good at recruiting people to get, to come and, hire them on and all that stuff. But selling, I wasn't. And
what do you mean? What do you mean by selling? What goes through your head when you say selling?
See, back then I didn't. I was really young. I was in my early 20s. Right?
Sure.
I went to college for 2 years, and then I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to take a break. My mom's always telling me, don't take a break because you're not going back.
Right.
And I was working just like a dead-end job. And somebody came up to me and asked me if I was interested in a business opportunity.
Sure.
Right. And so I said, yeah, sure. I had nothing better to do. And so I went to one of their meetings and did that. And it was all about selling insurance, life insurance to people. And, I stuck around because I liked the atmosphere. But when it came to like really implementing things that they teach you about, selling, I never really took the time to do it.
Got it.
I just kind of showed up, and I was good at talking, like just talking to a person and asking them if they want to, if they love what they're doing or not, and, just inviting people to come over and check out what we're doing.
Sure.
But when it came to going out on appointments, because I was never taking the time to, get better at my craft, I couldn't sell anything.
Well, listen, it's a process.
Yeah.
I mean, selling is a process, and once it's learned, you have a tremendous more amount of confidence to go forward and initiate a lot more conversations.
Yeah.
But it is a process that needs to be learned.
Yep.
Yeah, especially. Yeah. I mean, in what we do, especially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can have as many leads as you want, but if you can't convert them and close them to a signed agreement, you're just going to be kind of spinning your wheels, staying in one spot, being on a treadmill for a while.
Yep.
Yeah. So is it easier talking to property owners than it was doing that business?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes not.
I love it.
It depends on the person.
Right.
Some people are really easy to talk to, but just like anything, you're always going to run into the dicks out there, and it's whatever, just move on.
Yeah.
But I think now it's just I'm older, and I just feel like I spent all that time driving as a trucker, not really wanting to do it, but just feeling like I had to do it so I could take care of my family.
Sure.
And then I got to the point where I was just like, I'm so sick of this. I just need to do something different. And, and I guess that all that time I spent like hating what I was doing gave me that drive to come in here and just give it everything I had, doing this.
So what advice would you give to somebody that's in your position right now? That's they're at the end. They don't want to do whatever they're doing, whatever job it is that they're doing, or maybe they just all of a sudden they had a great job, but that the business went under, or they downsized, or whatever. They're at that position that you were of going down one of two paths. The path of staying, doing what you're doing, or start something completely brand new. What advice would you give people?
I don't know. Like for me, I had to do it this way. I knew that this was going to be the only way I was going to do it, because I wasn't going to go to work 14 hours, then come home and make calls.
Right.
So I was just like, if I'm going to do this, this is the way I have to do it. Some people might be able to, work it part-time. I just know that if I do something, I have to do it all the way. It's like I can't just part-time anything.
Yep.
I've always been like that, and that's why sometimes I procrastinate, because I'm like, I don't really want to do this right now, because I know that if I get started, I won't be able to stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just, I can't tell anybody what they should do. Is just figure out what works best for you.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah.
So what did you do first
What do you mean?
to start building momentum in your wholesaling business?
Cold calling. I mean, I did what you told me to do.
Yeah.
You said, get a list. I said, what kind? You were like, look at the course. I looked at the course. I went through all your modules. I grabbed a list. Didn't have a dialer at first. I just started hand dialing.
I remember.
Got tired of that really quick. And I said, screw this. I'm getting my dialer. Got the dialer and just started it. Scared every single time somebody answered the phone. And but over time,
Are you still scared?
Easier. Every once in a while, you get that. It's like my mind is like playing tricks on me, but for the most part, I'm just like, no. Sometimes I'll just be, I don't know, doing something else. I'll be looking up a house or whatever, and I'm just talking to somebody, or, but then, but I try to focus on just doing what I'm doing. But sometimes when you've been on the dollar for 5 hours, 6 hours, you just kind of, your mind starts to drift a little bit. But no, not really. But every once in a while, it does.
How many property owners do you think you've spoken to personally?
I don't know. I can tell you.
1,000?
Oh, way more than that.
2,000?
It's got to be
5,000?
Probably.
Right.
If not more. So.
And the first 100, it's like terrifying.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, am I going to screw this up? Am I going to offend somebody, or can I deal with this rejection?
Yeah.
But you had big goals. I mean, this was do or die.
Yep. Exactly. And I think when we first talked, I think it was like first few times, you kind of had me figured out already, and it was kind of weird when you said it to me. You were like, I feel like you're the person who needs to do everything right. You were like, just do it.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna,
Perfectionism.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about the 3 Ps, right?
Yeah.
You know, the paralysis by analysis, procrastination, and perfectionism. And
Yeah.
those attack you. And if you can recognize it, then you can get rid of it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Usually to get rid of it is just, again, massive imperfect action, just getting out there and doing it.
Yep.
And then, you know, fumbling and stumbling and then going, hey, this is what happened. And I remember listening to your calls, and I remember like you were texting me all the time, like, what do I say here? What do I do here? And just little by little, the confidence was building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it takes time takes longer for some people. I went so long I'd go days without speaking to anybody, you know, and then hopping onto the phone and talking to so many people at the end of the day, I'm just like, man, I'm burnt out. I don't want to do this right now.
Well, how'd you build your endurance? Because you just said that you were calling for 5 or 6 hours.
So I started off, you know, doing, you know, I'd call for like half an hour and I'd take a break.
Yep.
Come back, do another half hour. You know, sometimes it was like 15 minutes, and I was like, all right, I got to get off for a minute. And then just slowly over time, I was able to stay on longer. Sometimes I'd look at the clock and be like, man, I've been on here for 2 hours already. It's like, you know, and it just, over time, you just build that endurance, and you just keep going and going and going, and the time just flies by because you're talking to people, you know, and it's just like becomes a habit when you're doing it. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, if you can attach and understand that the more people you talk to, the more opportunities you're going to find, the more offers you can make, the more income you can make.
Yep.
So everything gets tied back to the more people you talk to, the faster you hit your goals.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
I mean, listen, this business is simple. We're complicated.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's simple. I mean, it's not easy,
Right.
but it's simple.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you just got to get over whatever's holding you back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I have to talk to myself all the time and just like, stop thinking like that. Like, let's go, let's do this now. And, you know, but that's just like, a
stuff
daily,
trying to like stop you from taking action?
yeah, like, you know, oh God, I don't feel like doing this today.
Yeah.
And I listen to a lot of like motivational stuff, you know, and, you know, so I was listening to, I think it's David Goggins.
Yeah.
And he was talking about procrastination, and he was saying that, okay, he's like, all right, so you don't want to do this today, so now we're going to work really hard. And that's the kind of thing that I tell myself, you know, it's like, okay, you don't want to do this, so now we're going to call even longer than we said we were going to call. And it's just to build that discipline, you know, because it's real easy to just say, all right, you know, I did an hour, I can just get off and call it quits. I got a lead today, you know, let's get off. But it's you find out that those days when you want to get off and you stay on, and then you start finding really good leads. And it's crazy how that happens, because then you start thinking about it, and you're like, you know, like, see, this is why, like, I don't know. It's just, I don't even know how to explain it. I'm just saying it's crazy how things work out when you're trying to push for something. So,
well, the 100 contact challenge was always like the scariest day in my schedule.
Yeah.
Because I would stay on the phone until I talked to 100 new people. And now Stephanie Hunt does it once a month.
Yeah, she does.
In the Facebook group, and they everybody jumps on there and really pushes to talk to 100 people in one day. But every time, Mike, every time that I push myself to get to that 100 contacts, like the number 97 or 92 or 85 was like a deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like crazy.
Yeah.
It was like something about the energy that I was putting into that day just brought these opportunities. It sounds like kind of woo-woo, but it was the absolute truth. When I would talk to 100 people, and that was a 100 contact challenge, and I had a coach back in the day that was like, you need to do this once a month if you want to hit your goal. My goal at the time was I want to make $400,000 this year, and I was like at 250, 300, 250. 260. And she's like, if you got to push it. Kathy Anderson, she was wonderful. And she was like, you need to do this. Boom, blew way past 400,000.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just pushing yourself when you don't want to do it, and just seeing like, how far can I go? It's almost like exercise, right? It's almost like running or pushing weights or whatever you do for exercise. When you think that you have a threshold, then you go past it. You're like, oh my gosh. There's levels to this. And I think that you kept pushing it and pushing and pushing and breaking levels. And it took how long did it take you to get the first deal?
Almost 6 months.
Right.
Yep.
I am telling you, the top wholesalers that I know that have been through this, it takes on average 5 to 6 months to get the first deal. And then it starts rolling.
Yep. And remember, I'd actually gotten a contract it was like 3 months in.
The California one?
The Oregon one.
Oregon. That's it. The
on
land.
The coast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I got it, I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be a deal. Turns out it's not.
Right.
I'm just like, okay. So that pissed me off. But, I told you on the phone, I don't know if you remember, but I was yelling because I was so mad. And I was like, you know what? This just makes me want to go even harder because I was like, I got one. Mm-hmm. It didn't turn out to be a deal, but I know I can get one now.
Yep.
And, I just kept pushing.
Awesome.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
So what does your day look like? Walk me through your daily routine.
So now that school started, I get up with the kids and take them to school, and I go to the gym. As soon as I get out of the gym, come home and just hop on and start calling.
What time does that usually start?
It's been earlier now because I'm pushing myself to make more calls, so I'm trying to get my workouts in really quick. Just lift for like an hour and then go home. I've been starting around 8:30.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you call from 8:30 to what?
Till I'm done. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a set time. I always tell myself I'm going to get at least 4 hours in today.
Awesome.
And sometimes you get a little distracted, or I have to take a phone call or whatever because I'm actually starting to get some leads and dealing with certain things. So, but no matter what, even if I take that time off, I'll stay on the dialer longer to make sure that I get my time in. So
yeah. I was always taught the morning is for finding opportunities and the afternoon is for closing opportunities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in this business, that means the morning you're prospecting, you're doing your lead follow-up, you're doing everything you can to get on an appointment with a motivated property owner. And then in the afternoon, you're selling them. The afternoon, you're driving for dollars. The afternoon, you're going on the appointments. And that always kept my schedule really clean. And the beautiful thing is if you can commit and time block, which you have, I'm speaking to everybody else, if you can commit and time block and really get your work done in the morning, you can feel good turning it off at night and turning it off on the weekend or turning it off on vacation because you actually worked when you were supposed to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So many people get distracted and creative avoidance creeps in and really slows down the process because we start thinking and pontificating on how can we do this easier, or is there different marketing channels, or is there different exit strategies that I have to know, all these things. And we just got to keep it simple.
Or you beat yourself up that
Sure.
you didn't do what you said you were going to do that day. And I every day is not great. But you do have your days where and then I'll beat myself up, but I hate that freaking feeling. So, I that's why I really focus on having that discipline of every day. When I say I'm going to work, and just do that because it does. At the end of the day, you feel better. You're like, you know what, I did what I said I was going to do.
Yep.
And now I can relax for a little bit.
Love it.
So.
Well, and listen, you're not always in hustle season. You know what I mean? Hustle is a season. It's not a lifestyle. And so as you're building up your business and building up your pipeline and getting that consistency and closing deals on a regular basis, then you start bringing in great talent to start replacing you from some of these things.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's what's really exciting, building an actual business, not just trading one job for another job. But when you start, you're it. You're self-employed. It's a job. Don't get it. Don't get shocked that you have to put in the work. But the people that put in the work and build the skills, that lasts forever.
Yep.
Yeah. Incredible.
No, that's like so true. Because when I started, I said, you know what, I'm going to give myself 3 months. If I don't do anything in 3 months, maybe I can go back and I was like, I'll just keep my license and make sure I can, get a job. And then those 3 months came, and I didn't have anything, and I was like, screw this, I was like, I'm just gonna let my license go because you have to do things to keep your commercial driver's license. Sure. I just said, screw it, I'm not doing that. I told everybody, I told my wife, told my family, I said, this is what I'm doing. I'm not going back, no matter what. I love it. And this is the best thing I could have freaking done. Yeah. So let's talk about your first deal. Let's break it down. Okay. First one was actually just driving for dollars. Okay, driving for dollars. I
You use an app for that, or are you just writing it down?
on Batch.
Okay.
At first, I was just writing down the addresses. Like I'd write down the street name and then just put on all the addresses below the street name. So what I drove by this house. It was completely beat up. Garage doors all messed up. It looks like nobody's living there. Everything's just torn to pieces. I called and called and called and called those people, and the numbers that I had skip traced, and never got a response. Finally, like 4 months later, I just sent him a text and got a response right away. And the guy's text was, "You don't want to buy this house." And I said,
That's when you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I just sent him a text. I said, "Why would you say that?" He's like, "Well, this and that and this is going on, and the house is like the floors are torn up, and all of this is going on." And so I said, "Hey, do you have a minute to hop on the phone?" And then he finally answered when I called him. We talked for a little bit. Turns out he was in the military. He was actually living in Tennessee. But his dad and his mom lived in town. So he's like, I won't be able to meet you, but I can have my parents come and meet you at the house. Went to go take a look at it. I mean, it was worse inside than it was outside.
Was it vacant?
Yeah, it was vacant except for they had 3 dogs living in there.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Inside too.
Yeah.
Just inside. So, the floors were just covered and, everything you could think of.
Yep.
House was completely trashed. It seems like they were using it as storage, just for junk. And, it was beat up. And then
Was this like his house, and then he moved to Tennessee and just kept the house type of situation?
Yeah, so he had actually bought the house from his parents.
Oh.
And then he moved to Tennessee because of the military. And then while we were talking, he actually ended up moving to Germany. So when we were closing the deal, it kind of took a little bit longer than it should have because of the paperwork and him having to go to FedEx to overnight stuff to the title company and all of that. But before that, I met with the parents, got along with the parents. I built rapport with them too, and he and I got along too. And, I just straight out asked him, I said, "What would you be looking to get for the property?" He's like, "I just need my parents to make $40,000. I said, "Okay." I was like, "What do you owe on the property?" And then he wasn't sure, but he kind of gave me a number. I talked to you, talked to Jeremy, and Jeremy and you were telling me, well, you told me, I was like, "You need to get him down." I was like, I'm going to try and get him down as much as possible. And I anchored him low. I anchored him down at like 80,000.
Yep.
But he's like, no, he got offended a little bit, and but I think the reason for that is because of the way that I said it. I kind of, I wasn't really good at kind of low anchoring like you guys teach us, and like Ryan tries to tell us to do it, that you have to do it in a certain way, right? He got a little offended. I said, "Look," I was like, I'm not trying to offend you, all right? I was like, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I basically said, what's the lowest that you would be willing to take? He's like, "I told you." He's like, "We owe," I can't remember what the amount was, like 80-something thousand. And I need my parents to make 40. Or I think it was like 70. I can't remember. Ended up getting the property under contract for 127. And a week later, I had it sold at 155.
Yeah. Well, listen, whenever you text me, I want you getting massive deals. So I'm aggressive with the pricing.
No, I know.
And the guy wasn't really giving you his price yet. So it was like, well, you got to just throw it out there and like pull the price out of him. And it did.
Yeah.
It ended up working out. I mean, it was 47,000 higher than I told you to lock it up at. But turned out to be a great deal.
Yeah,
I mean, it turned out to be a great deal. So you got it locked up for 127,000.
Yeah.
And then how'd you find the buyer for it?
So I started, getting on Batch, trying to find flipped homes.
Batch leads.
Yeah, Batch leads.
Yep.
Trying to find flipped homes, trying to get in contact with the people who sold the home. I had a little bit of trouble with some of them. I couldn't get to like skip trace the LLCs. Like I couldn't find the right contact information.
Yeah.
So I started calling real estate agents. I said, "Hey, I have a great deal here. Do you have any buyers that would be interested in purchasing the property?
What do you mean calling agents? Like, were they specific agents? Were you just calling through a list? What were you doing?
Every agent that I could find, just started calling.
From where? Online?
Yeah, just went online.
Where?
Huh? On Google.
Google. You just Googled real estate agents in Yuma.
Yep. I even called, I called home builders.
Uh-huh.
I called, what do you call them? Like the guys that do construction. I don't know why I can't.
Like
think
developers?
Yeah, developer. I just called everybody.
Yeah.
And, and then I ran into a few agents that are like, yeah, we have a ton of investors that we work with. So I had a few guys come in and look at the property, got some low offers, right? I mean, I was still going to make money.
Yeah.
But I was trying to push the price as much as I could.
Sure.
Because I put it out at 160, and the first few offers came in around like 130 something, 137, 135, and I said, hey, thanks. I still got some more people. I didn't have any more people coming in, but I was like, I got some more people that need to come check the house out.
Yeah. But you were being proactive. I mean, you were going to get more people in that house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I finally got a buyer and the agent, which they partnered up together. Like, they did the work. Agent listed the house. They sold it, split the profits. And he came in, looked at the house, and then right then and there, he's like, I could probably do 155. And even then, I didn't like jump at it. I kind of like hesitated a little bit. I was like, and I made him sit there. You could see that he got a little nervous. And then I was like, all right, let's do it. And I just said 155. And, and then they had earnest money in by that afternoon. So
Awesome.
I told him 5K EMD. He's like, yeah, no problem. And yeah, it was.
So it closes. Did you get a check or did you get a wire?
I got a check.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to hold the check.
Yeah, right? I love it.
Yeah.
So what was that check? How much was that check made out for?
28,000.
28,000. Come on,
Yeah.
Mike, ring this thing.
Oh, shit, I broke your thing.
That's awesome. Oh man, congratulations.
Thank you.
How'd that feel?
Dude, I didn't believe it until I saw the check.
Right.
Even then, I was getting ready to open it, and I was like, there's no way this is going to say 28.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, I was like, oh my God.
Sure does. Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was like 6 months of hoping that this is going to happen, and it finally does. And you're just like, dude, like it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, let me speak to the audience real quick here. Listen, you could go out there and just drive around in your car with a pad of paper and a pen, write down addresses of properties that need significant investment, the rough-looking properties in your area. You could take that address and Google it and go to True People Finder or True People Search, one of the two, and you can find out the owner's name and their phone number and call them up right there. Then you've got this opportunity, and then you can just Google real estate agents in your area that work with investors, call them up, and match that property with those agents and those buyers, and boom, you've done this with zero budget. Mm-hmm. Zero. Now, obviously, there's great tools, there's great resources. You mentioned batch leads. You can get that at rhinolist.com. You can get all those tools, but you don't have to. You could start totally with zero budget, but just start. Just go have a quality conversation with a distressed property owner. How do we know it's distressed? Because look at the property. There's something going on there. They don't have the resources to keep up with that property, or they just don't want to. And so that's where we step in. We interrupt their day. We introduce ourselves. We bring a lot of heart, a lot of love, a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of conviction to giving them an offer and solving their problem. You match it up with an investor that wants a deal, and you're off and running.
Yeah.
$28,000 later.
Yeah, actually, what happened too is that night, I actually got a call like at almost 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
From another investor. And she's like, you called my dad's company. She's like, I'm a real estate agent, but I'm an investor. She's like, is the house still for sale? I was like, sorry, I sold it already. And she's like, I'll pay you more.
Mm-hmm. I remember getting that text from you.
Yeah, she's like, I'll pay you more. And I, for a second, it's like, I can make more. And then I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, look, I'm sorry, but I already sold it, and I got to keep my word. I was like, you wouldn't want me doing that to you.
Right.
And she was like, no, I know. But it turned out to, I made a relationship with that agent too. She actually was a buyer for my next deal.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I actually have both of them bringing me properties sometimes to see if I can wholesale them for them.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's going great.
Well, and then once you close the first one, it becomes real.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, it starts building that momentum. And now you're closing deal and deal and deal. And you and I closed a deal.
Yeah,
well, not you and I, but my company and you.
Yep.
And Chad did an extreme amount of work on that one and did a fantastic job. But we partnered on that one. It was what? What did we each make on that?
Each $19.50.
$19.50. Great
Or
deal.
$19.5.
And you've got a deal locked up right now that, I mean, it could be that $70,000-$80,000 deal.
Yeah, it could be. You know, I don't
It's
like to
40
count.
right now.
I know. I don't like
Easy,
to count what
but it
I
could
don't.
be 80.
Well, it's actually 50 right now.
Right.
But I don't like to count what I don't have.
Of course.
So
Yeah, I just get excited.
Yeah,
I get excited.
I know,
about
I get
deals.
excited too,
I get
but-
excited that you've got this much momentum after 6 months of just putting in the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
It was hard,
Yeah.
but it was totally worth it.
How can people reach out to you, Mike? Is there a way that maybe somebody's listening to this, somebody's watching this on the Brent Daniels YouTube channel, and they're going, "I like this Mike guy. I want to know him. I'm in Yuma, or I'm a truck driver, or I relate to his story, whatever it is." How can people reach out to you and connect?
I don't really do social media.
Yeah.
I have Facebook
Okay.
for the Rhino Tribe.
Yep.
For the group.
Yep.
And I mean, I guess I can.
You have an email? You have a
Yeah. Email is mmhtt0620@gmail.
Say that again.
mmhtt0620@gmail.
There we go. Send him a message or comment down below in the YouTube channel, and I'll send it to Mike, and Mike can reach out. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for you. What
No,
does your family
like-
think?
They love it. So, I think part of the thing that helped me too is that my wife told me, because I was like 4 months in, not
Yeah.
doing, nothing's going on. And she's just kind of told me, like, I know that when you say you're going to do something, you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's all I needed
Yeah.
right there. And then I was like, you know what? You're right. Let's keep going.
What's your wife's name?
Ashley.
Ashley. Shout out to Ashley.
Yeah.
Thank you for keeping Mike going, keeping him motivated. That's awesome.
So,
Congratulations.
thank you.
That is absolutely incredible.
No, but like really, thank you.
Yeah.
Because, I wasn't sure when I joined the Rhino Tribe
Yeah.
that you were going to be as helpful as you actually are.
Sure.
I mean, I guess I was a little surprised, but
Yeah.
like honestly, like without you telling me, like, no, don't waste your time on that. These people are freaking crazy. Don't do that. Do this.
Yep.
Don't do that. I don't know where I would be. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, thank you. The opportunity to work with you,
Yeah.
see you grow, see you build this business. It's just awesome having you here in the state of Arizona and coming up, driving the 2.5 hours to come to our meetings and pour into the team and to the people that are joining, the new people coming up. You've been awesome in the group, super supportive. You're squatting up with everybody. It's awesome to see.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks for being on here,
All right,
Mike.
thank you.
Awesome. And that's it. Absolutely incredible, guys. Reach out, mmhtt0620, the craziest email I've ever heard in my life, at gmail.com. Reach out to Mike. Tell him, tell him whatever. Tell him about your story. Tell him he did a great job. Tell him he's an inspiration. Whatever it is that's in your heart to tell him, do it. The more that you put that out, the more that you receive it, and we all want recognition. We all want support. We all want cheerleaders. So do it, and you will receive it as well. That's awesome. And if you're interested in joining the most proactive community, the most proactive group in real estate investing, it is the Rhino Tribe. Go to wholesalinginc.com. Check out what it's all about. If it feels good in your gut, sign up for a call. And I look forward to working with you personally, just as I've had the honor and pleasure of working with Mike as well. So that's it. That's it for our podcast today. As always, I encourage you to go out there and talk to people. Love you guys. See you soon.